Yeah, why are we talking about our pussies? What is this?
305, we live.
Justin, so clean, seduce, it's king.
We should start a rap group.
Look, like I was very excited to have this show because, of course, there's something in the air. There's a lot of women in rap content going on. You know, we just had Queens come out. I don't know if you saw today. The Toronto Film Festival just announced the world premiere of On
Angie
the Come Up.
Thomas's movie, yeah.
Angie Thomas, that movie directed by Sanaa Lathan. Yeah. So what's going on? Like what is in the ether that we're getting this content now? Finally.
I mean, I think, female rappers have always been here. We just like, I'm going, oh my God, that they just
She's a rapper. She's a rapper on the Issa album is dropping.
We're going to get to that part. We're going to get to that part.
No, but they have just not gotten the same spotlight. And it does feel like you said, something's in the air where the female rappers are able to take control of their own narratives, whether it's via coming up through social media, whether it's audiences clamoring for them, but there's just a different demand for the female voice in that genre. It's been so male dominated for a while, and I think as fans and as creatives, like, it's just really enticing and appealing to be able to go into that world and tell that story, because we're all aware, like I know even in Angie's book, On the Come Up, it is about that come up story, and it is just about how hard it is to break in as a female rapper in this male dominated industry. And for us and for me, like, that was really an exciting story to tell, just because I see so much of that criticism constantly. Like, they're just put under a different kind of microscope and scrutiny that feels so unfair.
I think it's also reflective of the culture too. I think they're kind of going hand in hand, just as like female rap is like really empowering women right now. Like, women are also just becoming more empowered and more comfortable expressing ourselves. And I think, and then you're seeing it reflected in the art. So it all feels timely. I think we're all collectively going through this sort of like transition and evolution, and then we're seeing it in the music, and we're seeing it specifically in like women-led music.
I also feel like there's also more like, I guess maybe dissection of like the phenomenon of it. Of course, because the last few years, the women were on top. I mean, Meg, Cardi, Saweetie, Doja Cat. And there's even been this like reappreciation of how significant Missy Elliott has been in our lives, I feel. Like, I feel like Twitter and social media, we were like, yeah, I mean, like, we did not love Missy enough. You know what I mean? Like, I'm seeing that a lot. So I guess it's like what you said, it's these conversations are brewing and stuff. And you also said that, hey, maybe there was a day where, or I don't know if you were joking, but I was wondering, like, I feel like we all at some point imagine ourselves being rappers, or it's like, can I do that? I'd love to know what that looked like for you.
I mean, for me, it looked like drinking Moscato with my friends and freestyling drunk, in college, or even earlier than that, like freestyling with my brother. Once we learned how to record on the mic, and him just getting significantly better than me as an artist. But like, there's just something fun about talking your shit, which is part of what rap has become and is just like, bragging on yourself and touting your accomplishments and empowering yourself. And for me, there's just something that just feels great about that feels like, what I wouldn't necessarily do in my own life. It's also why I put that element in Insecure. It's just like, sometimes we walk around just really being down on ourselves, trying to be humble, and really just trying to get through the day. And there's something so empowering about having a medium where it's okay to just big yourself up.
It almost reminds me of like affirmations or like a mantra. Like, you know what I mean? How you have your affirmations or your mantra where you have to like, I'm gonna affirm myself in the mirror every day. But that became like I'm gonna do that through rap and battle or fight against, give another voice to speak to my insecurities on a daily. Like, no, you're that bitch.
Well, so if you saw yourself as a rapper, what kind of rapper would you have been? Like, if you wanted to pick someone that's out there there right now, who would Issa the rapper be?
I mean, anytime I see Meg Thee Stallion, I just think that she's so dope. From her freestyles and the swagger that she has to like how she's able to twerk. Like, I've never been that. So like, she also just seems to have so much fun with her friends. And she's smart, and she can be everything. And I love her. I love her confidence so much.
Yeah. And what about you, Syreeta?
I would want to be like Sweetie right now. Like, Sweetie looks like she's having the time of her life. She eats what she wants to eat. She's like so confident. She puts out music when she like really wants to put out music, so it seems, you know what I mean? It seems like she's not succumbing to any kind of pressure or formula. Like she really seems to be doing it her own way. She has these different businesses that she has. She got her like her McDonald's like sauce. You know, it's like it just looks like Sweetie is blazing her own path.
I know that's right.
And like exactly. We know her for that. Like she's just like Sweetie is completely doing her own thing. And so I would like that to me is like the best way to like be an artist in this climate right now. Still make enough money, get to be yourself, choose what you want to do. So yeah.
So you know, like I actually talked to Angie Thomas when she wrote On the Come Up like way back, and I remember her saying it's like, you know, to be a woman who loves rap, it's like, you know, we love rap. We've been here since the beginning. Like she talked about how like Sugar Hill Gang was signed by a woman. She talked about how, and then you go back to the like, you know, all the way to the beginning. You talk about MC Lyte and, you know, Queen Latifah, all of them. But she's like, to be a woman in rap, it's like you've loved it for so long, but it never loved you back. And I want to know, like, how did, like, you know, so how, I mean, what was your relationship to rap in that way? Because, you know, and I think we know what Angie's talking about when she says that.
That's a bar. I mean, I think that's so true. Like everyone knows that this is literally a male-dominated industry, and we get to have those conversations in the show just about how even if you're a talented female rapper, you are still subjected to this male gaze and even discredited often to like, oh, they had to have help from this particular artist, or, you know, the only reason they made it is because they're tied to this person. And I think that's also interesting in the conversations about kind of what you have to do and what you have to sacrifice to be seen and to be taken seriously. I think is really interesting, and we've been super, super excited to tackle in the show.
Is there parallel to that as a woman in television? Like,
certainly, I think as we're talking about this, I'm just like, there are parallels everywhere. I think we're just talking about what it means to be a woman, like, and what it means to be a woman in almost any industry, I'm sure, and what it means to be a woman in America, and at this current time. And, you know, feminism has been something, I don't even want to go on a whole feminism rant, but I'm like, that's been something that has obviously had different waves, but it's something that's been more popularized, especially like now with the current climate and everything. Like people are more curious about, or women are using their voices more to say like, this is our bodies. This is what we will do or won't do with our bodies. And we should have the right. And so all of these things are kind of paralleled when it comes to like the art that we make, how we choose to express ourselves, what we choose to wear, how we, you know, our right to choose. I think all of these things are conversations, and they're all relevant in so many different ways. So it makes sense that it would show up in our music too.
And even to just piggyback off of that, even in putting out the teaser for this, you know, I've seen responses from men about like, of all the stories that you could tell about women, like these are the stories that you're going to tell without seeing the show. And so even policing the type of stories that we can tell as women which is literally what we talk about in the show as well. It's just interesting to me, but men don't get it.
Well, but then that goes back to, I mean, like, of course, I read the Rolling Stone story and how you said the origin of this being Jermaine Dupri's comments about the thing, right? Where he's like, oh, they're all sounding the same. And it's surprising to me. And I'm sure he's not the only one. I'm sure like
he's not the only one. I don't want to call him, you know, I still have respect for him. And
but I mean, he's saying out loud what a lot of people are thinking or also saying out loud. But I mean, that attitude's interesting to me because it's like, okay, you're looking at Cardi and Meg and all you're taking is the package, and you should know that the club hit does not speak to the album, and you should know if I judge The Brat on Functified, the title song, that wouldn't speak to the rest of the album. Doesn't sound like Functified. You know what I mean? Like, so it's interesting that I feel like, and again, speaking for just all men and how they look at how they assess the package, I feel like they don't give the women the benefit of the doubt to listen to the whole thing and to go, you know, they just will take that. Do you find that's the case? Like they only see what's on the surface and they don't go further as you typically should when you listen to rap?
Yeah, because what I mean, what incentive do they have to not You know, what incentive do they have to go deeper? I think as women, we're socially conditioned to think about men and their needs. And even in the content that we consume, even in the way that we're desired sexually, it's always in service of men. Men don't have that same incentive for us to treat us equally, to consider our feelings, to have empathy for us. And so like that doesn't surprise me. And until I don't even know what has to change for that to be the case, but men have to advocate on behalf of women. Men have to have those conversations with men because, you know, men just don't listen to women.
I think it's this idea of approval, you know, and like needing approval or acceptance from men, which is something that is just baked into our society. It is. So not to give the men a full pass, but it is like it's baked into our society and it's something that we are just actively unlearning. And I think that's what we're watching.
Yeah.
And there has to be a willingness to unlearn.
Yeah.
Well, can I ask? I mean, like in terms of, I mean, part of what, like, I mean, there's a line even in this, in your show.
We in the middle of a bad bitch renaissance.
It made me think about like, okay, like, I mean, going back to those comments, like these male rappers in this industry have always wanted women to be in the background, whether they're like in the club, like the strippers or whatnot. They always want them to have that ornamental role. And now this revolution is giving those women the voice. The ones that were in the background of the video all of a sudden have a voice. And do you feel like there's a pushback to that? Like, oh, right, like you were, you know, like that they're losing some of their dominance because of that?
I'm sure that that's part of it, of just like, one, a lot of the music in empowering women may in men's eyes discredit them. Like sometimes a woman rising, men may feel like reduces them, and I think that's part of the problem, where it's just like, nobody's even talking about you. Just because a woman picks herself up does not mean that you're any lesser, but there's something that you find threatening about that. And I think you have to ask yourself why. And some of the, to be honest, some of the braggadocious music does say, oh, I don't need a man for this. I don't need, and so men might view that and be like, well, F it, like let's go toe to toe then. Let me come back and tell you why you're not shit. And
but they say that, and they've been saying that.
Like, but it's like, oh, but you can't. I can say it about you, but you can't say it about me. It's just,
they're just used to being in control. It's just different. It's just things are changing, guys. Like change is scary. We know it's all scary. We don't know what it's gonna look like, but like, get on board.
Can I want to talk about WAP for a second, because of course, you know, I mean, who doesn't want to talk about WAP? But like, I mean, you know, such a huge song. And I feel like, I wonder if part of like what made WAP so huge, on top of it just being a great song, is the fact that you have these two women at the top of their game collabing, which wasn't the case, because we come from this history of Fox versus Little Kim, Nicki versus Cardi, and it's like, and now you have these two at the top and they're collabing together. Do you think that was part of it, and that's part of what we don't see enough, and is that what we get into the show about, like having these two voices together?
WAP just felt like a perfect talking point for conservatives to latch on to during a time when, you know, like hating women was the norm. And so I think that every era, like Lil Kim went through it, Britney Spears went through it, like Janet Jackson went through it. There's just always an era of criticizing women owning their sexuality. And so it's literally nothing new, and it happens in waves, and I don't necessarily know that it'll stop anytime soon. But yeah, the show addresses that, the show acknowledges that in conversations. It's just, you know, what I find interesting is when women also tend to tack on to that attack of just like, yeah, why are we talking about our pussies? What is this? Why is that all we have to talk about? And it's like, girl, just
your pussy probably needs to be spoken about. And it's that there's not a no one's not talking about it enough. Like I read this like really great piece on the importance of WAP and like how it means that you're healthy. You know what I mean? And just like how where are we going with this?
The gynecologist approved.
Exactly.
Yeah. One quick last question. What y'all think of the new Drake album?
I love it.
I just listened to it last night, and I actually really love it too. And it's so funny because my son was like, "Can you Drake? And I was like, okay, you know, he's been a Drake fan forever.
Come on, that's why he's my boy.
And and I put it on and I listened to it. I was like, oh, this is actually really good. And I like the way, like, it's not full house music.
No.
It's like, that's what I thought.
But even if it was just a welcome change. I saw the criticism before I got to listen to the album, which I'm glad I did because, you know, I went into it like, oh shit, are people not fucking with this? And then listening to it, I was like, I love it. You know, I think it's different for him, and I've been jamming it.
I thought it was a nice blend too, like the way he moves in and out of different kind of like sounds and stuff. It feels like a piece, like a whole piece that was kind of curated and put together. It feels, and then you still get Drake, like the Drake that you're looking for. He's still there. It's just like the sound, the sonics are like kind of shifting.
Hey, I want to make something relevant to people's lives.
Just say you want to be Queen Latifah and go.
Florida girl.
Y'all got something special. I'll get y'all debut performance. You better be ass shaking, titties bouncing.
Attention.